Hello everyone, so I'm going to do a quick series of videos on Napoleonic Wargames. Now, it seems to be that Napoleonics are becoming more popular at the moment, and that in part I think is due to Warlord releasing the Epic Battles Waterloo, which I've got figures but I've not done them yet. To be perfectly honest, the 8 months I spent doing the American Civil War epic battles was quite enough for the time being. I may get round to doing the epic battles Waterloo, but as you'll see from this video, I already have a couple of scales for Napoleonics, and I don't particularly want to start another one, hence why I went for the American Civil War with the epic battles. So anyway, this is a typical British unit that you would see in Napoleonic games. These are 28mm. As you can see, a unit is quite large, and this is a mounted officer. So, I mean, they are really nice. I really do like the figures. These are warlords. The only issue I have, which is the issue that a lot of people have, is the amount of time it takes to paint them, and also storage. So I've got a couple of units. I'm saying units. This is classed as a battalion, and typically, this is probably the wrong unit to show you this, because British didn't normally have 6, but a lot of them had 6 companies that made up a battalion, and then you had 2 battalions would make up a regiment, 2 regiments would make up a brigade, and so on. But I'll come on to that in a bit. So if you're first starting out, yes, 28mm figures are really nice, and on average it takes me, because I'm working full time and I only get like an hour or so a night really that I can paint. So this unit of 24 figures took me approximately a month to paint and base and get done. So at the 28mm scale, it will take you a while to get an army, but I say they do look really nice. The next option down is this. These are classed as 15mm, but they're not 15mm. These are made by a company called AB Miniatures. You can get them in the UK from Eureka, and they're approximately 18mm tall, and as you can see, there's an officer. They are half the size, well, that's approximately half the size of the 28mm, and again, this is the same number of figures. It's 24 figures, but I put them 6 into a base, so I've only got 4 bases, only because at the smaller scale I can fit more battalions onto a table, so the 4 bases is quicker to move than these larger bases that I've got, as I can get more on the table, as I said. And here is my Austrian officer. Now these are half the time to paint, especially because the white, but so again, they're quicker, and it is my favourite actual scale to play Napoleonics in. I have got 28mm French. I've probably got 12 units this size, and with the British I've only got 4 3 or 4 done. I've got Highlanders and all that to paint, but I've got that many projects on the go, I've just not got round to doing them. So once I do get round to doing them, if you ever do get round to doing them, same number of battalions for my British stroke Allied forces, because a lot of there's Hanoverians as well as I have for my French. However, at this scale, say these are Austrians, and I've got a few Austrians done. I've got more on order. I've got about 10 battalions of French to fight them. Now, just a quick recap. The 28mm are slower to paint, but they look a lot nicer and they take a lot longer to do. And if you've got the space, then yes, 28mm are great. The 50mm, especially these AB, which I said are probably 18, are really nice. They are quicker to paint and they take up less space. So if you're space restricted, then I would say go for the smaller scale. Now let's go on to army composition. So what we'll do is we'll move those out the way and we'll use the Austrians because they are smaller and it's easier to do the army. So put these here, start off with. So as I was saying before, this is a battalion, which is made up of, depending on the nation, can be between 4 and 10 companies. And obviously with attrition throughout the course of fighting, some of them you'll just feel that size, some of them you'll feel that size is standard, and some of them you'll feel as large. But most of mine I'm doing as standard 24 figures. So you'll have a battalion, and then if we add a second battalion, then this becomes a regiment. So a regiment can be 2 to 5 battalions, but here I'm just going to use 2. And the next thing is we'll add a second regiment. Like so. Again, read an officer to read the regiment. And then 2 regiments together make a brigade, so we need a brigade commander. Now, as I said, each of the regiments can be 2 to 5 battalions in strength. Now, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be all infantry. You can add a gun battery, so make that 3, and that one's 2, but we'll go with this as your standard size army. This is, I would say, is what you need as a starter army. Doesn't matter what nation you choose, this is what you need. Now, if you want to go all in and you really want to do Napoleonics, then I would say get yourself a French army. Now, if you want to go 28mm, you can get one of the Warlord boxes. They do French, Soviet, they do French, Russian, British, Prussian, Not sure what other ones they do off the top of my head, but they do starter armies. And I think pretty much all of the starter armies is this configuration. You'll get you'll get enough in the box to make 2 regiments and give you a commander or 2. Some of them have guns as well. I think the Russian one has 3 line battalions and a Pavlov Grenadiers battalion. So that is your starting. That's a block. That's what the minimum you need to play, and that's what I call a building block. So you'd have this would be, as I say, a brigade. Then you can add another brigade. But what I'd suggest was you do yourself a brigade of French, and then you do yourself a brigade of another nation. And then you go back and you do yourself another brigade of French, and then another brigade of another nation. And the reason why I'm saying that is throughout the Napoleonic Wars, not so much Waterloo, everybody seems to concentrate on Waterloo. However, the Napoleonic Wars was a lot more than the 100-day Waterloo campaign. And if you concentrate on the earlier war, you will get a lot more mileage out of your miniatures. You could still use them for Waterloo. Yes, the uniforms are not quite right, but I'm quite sure that some of them still had the old uniforms from 1812, and they were still wearing them, because I can't see every guy in an army wearing a new uniform. I'm quite sure some of them still had parts of, if not old uniform, as I say, from previous years. So what I would suggest was you get yourself an army approximately this size of French, and then you choose another army. Now, the reason why these Austrians are here, I'll give you a quick one. If you do French and then you do Austrians, they can fight each other. Then you do another load of French, and then you do Russians. Now, with a brigade of Austrians and a brigade of Russians, it means you could do the Battle of Austerlitz. Yes, you won't have enough figures to represent the whole of the army that was there, but you will have enough to play a game and call it that. It could be part of the battle, not necessarily the whole battle, and so on. Once you've got yourself two brigades, you could then add a third one, and that one can be, if you're doing French, that could be a guard brigade or a cavalry brigade, and so on. But this is what I recommend as your building block. So when you're first starting out, this is what you want to start with. 4 units, or should I say 4 battalions of infantry and your HQs. So you can add guns if you want to. You can add a couple of cannons. And the reason why I'm feeling cannons together like this is because two cannons is a battery, 1 cannon is a half battery, and then you could make 3 cannons for a large battery. Let's talk about rules now. Rules are very subjective. If you were playing a certain futuristic war game, then you have to buy your figures from that firm and you have to use their rules, or you can maybe use one-page rules to play with those figures. Now with Napoleonics, there is, I couldn't tell you how many manufacturers there are. 28mm, there's obviously Warlord, Petty, Artisan, Black Tree, just off the top of my head. For 15mm, there is minifigs, Eureka, AB Miniatures, Lancashire Wargames. There's loads. So you're not restricted to one manufacturer for your figures, and the same goes for the rules. There are, off the top of my head, I'd say there's at least 50 different sets of rules for Napoleonic Wargaming. I myself play Black Powder. I have General the Army, which I've not played. I've got LaSalle, again, I've not played it. But as long as you base all your figures up the same, i.e. that's how you base your Austrians, you base your French the same way, you base your British the same way. As long as they're all based the same way, then you can use any set of rules to play, because as long as your figures are the same, then when you're playing the game, you're not going to be any advantage or disadvantage for each side, because they'll all be based the same way. So here's a quick overview of Napoleonics. As I said, at the current moment in time, he seems to be having a bit of a rise and fame. If you want me to do any more videos, put a comment below on what you'd like me to do, and I'll sort out the video and put it up. So thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, and I'll see you all next time.